Your brain is absolutely wired for connection. Okay. So yeah, I mean, most clearly you see this in the infant. The infant's nervous system is quite literally regulated by the nursing of the mother, the bouncing of the father, the rocking of the grand, like the nervous system of the baby is regulated by other human beings. Okay. So then we grow up and we now know there's a thing called interpersonal neurobiology in our relationships. So we know that our partners, our spouses, they can soothe us or they can dysregulate us. They can stress us out. They can make us angry. In other words, they can cause us pain. So, and there's starting to be these really fascinating studies about coworkers. Like we always knew, like we loved our coworkers or they drove us up the wall. And just look at social media. Like you either love social media or you want to pull your hair out on social media. So we're absolutely wired for human connection. I think it's so easy to get hopeless. So when we watch these big global conflicts, and I don't just mean war, I mean, think about what happened with the pandemic, think about George Floyd, think about the Ukraine situation. It's so easy to get overwhelmed and to be hopeless. But one of the quotes that's been like the North Star in my life is, if only we clean our own doorstep, the whole world will be clean.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for me to look out in the world and be like, fix that. You guys are doing that wrong. Stop that. You shouldn't. You should. All this, right? But how do I show up in my own leadership? Who am I as a parent? Who am I as a leader to myself? Am I kind to myself? Am I forgiving to myself? Am I abundant to myself? Pain, okay? Because that's a big word, right? If you think about the brain, it's not that big. It's only about 3 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
I always say it's the most precious real estate in the world.
Amen.
So the parts of your brain that control any bad feeling, stress, irritation, anxiety, anger, rage, fear, I mean, mad, anything, any word you want to use, it's all controlled by the same parts of the brain. Think about where things really go wrong for us. They don't go wrong when everyone's cooperating with us, everyone's seeing it my way. The only time my leadership matters and my emotional intelligence matters is when I start to fall into my own pain. The measure of my emotional power is who I become in my own moments of fear and my own moments of inadequacy and my own moments of trigger and my own moments of stress. But I think that pain is the most misunderstood messenger in the world. 99% of the world has good intentions. People are not going around like, oh, how can I screw the other guy? How can I really turn? Things get tangled. And a big part of the reason things get tangled is because people aren't holding their own emotional power. So here's how it goes, is I say, gosh, I don't really want to hurt Dan's feelings. And so I'm gonna twist myself. I'm gonna tangle myself a little bit. And I'm gonna lean in to kind of support him. But a lot of us think like, if I tell the truth, the other person's gonna crumble. But we gotta calm that reptilian brain down for a second and be like, okay, number one, is this working for me? In other words, is all my leaning into other people's emotions, is that really setting the world free? You know, everyone's kind of heard about how you have sort of two brains, like the thinking brain and some people will call it the reptile brain or the lizard brain. So you have this very reactive brain, and then you have this more powerful, thoughtful brain, right? In kind of broad strokes. So the thing about pain is, of course, if we could avoid pain, of course we should. Like, that's a no-brainer. You don't need a neuropsychologist to tell you that, right? If I put my hand on a hot stove and burn my hand, I'm going to pull my hand back as quickly as possible. Okay, great. The problem with our emotional pain, all the pain that arises in our relationships, our homes, our communities, our jobs, is it's not just a one and done. I get hurt again and again and again and again. And this is life in a lot of ways. What I want people to see is it's a false choice to say, have a tough conversation, for example, or no pain. It's, I'm going to have to face that anxiety, or to have this pain of self-abandonment. A tremendous amount of pain in our lives comes when we divide ourselves from ourselves. I want to speak up, but I keep my mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say no, but I say yes. I want to relax, want to enjoy myself. What do? I overwork. In all of those cases, I have divided myself from myself. And in that moment, I have self-betrayed, I have self-abandoned, and that is a tremendous amount of pain that we inflict upon ourselves.
What makes it worse then is that we subdivide ourselves when we don't do that by feeling guilty because we didn't do it. Then we feel guilty because we didn't do it. Then we feel guilty about the guilt. And we say, I ought to be able to mature enough to move on from this. And we continue to subdivide our strength as we go along.
I love that. I call it the pain sandwich.
If you enjoy this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. To stay updated on everything that the Action Catalyst is up to, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst Podcast and Twitter at Catalyst_Action. Thanks for listening.